After about a week of playing Mario Kart World, I think it's time to share what I think of the game so far and give my thoughts on if it's worth buying. Let's start with the tracks because, wow, these are some of the best in the series. Visually, they're stunning, and once you get used to the new driving field, they genuinely are satisfying to race on. I streamed the game on launch day, and I was just sitting there mesmerized. Like, just look at Rainbow Road. I was speechless.
Amazing.
There is no world where this could be boring. Now I know a lot of people are worried about the intermissions, and yeah, it's true, they can be kind of slow. Like the one from Peach Stadium to drive one lap of Koopa Troopa Beach. Honestly, the main tracks more than make up for it. And even some of the intermissions, like the one going into Boo Cinema, are actually kind of cool. And let me just say, the soundtrack in this game is just incredible. So yeah, there's not really a single bad track in this game, and there are even some fun intermissions. And now how the driving and gameplay feels overall. At first, driving, especially drifting, felt a bit weird, but after some time it actually felt really good. And even the water physics, which a lot of people complain about, I actually find to be really satisfying to drive on. The driving started to feel exceptionally satisfying whenever I started to do time trials. All the ground rails and the other elements makes for some satisfying sequences. But one thing about time trials in this game is that it takes forever to learn a track and get a full rundown. But once you learn it, oh my goodness, it just becomes so satisfying. And even though it's difficult to learn, the game actually makes up for it because of the rewind feature, where if you're struggling with a shortcut or just a hard technique in general, you can just rewind over and over again and just keep practicing. And even some parts where you don't think that the rewind would even work, and some places like Great Question Mark Block Ruins, you think the rewind might not work here because of the crates breaking, but the crates actually respawn and you can keep practicing this shortcut over and over again. So yeah, the driving is just really nice when you get used to it, and it's also kind of easy to learn because of the rewind feature. So for the open world, honestly I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's mostly just to collect collectibles and some stickers, and yeah, I guess there are missions which are kind of fun and teaches you how to drive the game, but honestly I don't see a reason for myself to go out of my way to do that, but I do see use for it. You can use it to practice intermissions, which, I mean, that won't really be much of a thing that people will do, but you can also use the rewind feature to practice shortcuts and such, because some of the shortcuts, if you fail it, you just fall off the track, and in time trials, if you fall off the track, you can't rewind. But in free roam, you cannot fall off the track, so you can rewind even if you do fail the shortcut. And this doesn't work as well for some shortcuts. Like on Moving Meadows, for some reason, this railing isn't here, so you can't practice this one. But it's still pretty cool that there are some uses to free roam other than just getting collectibles and messing around. And down the line, I think we'll find some really fun ways to use free roam. So now for my opinion on online and item play. One of the biggest issues is that unless you pick random, you are basically forced to pick a track with an intermission. This isn't a big issue because you could just pick random and then all the tracks are just good. But if you're in a lower level lobby, a lot of people will not know or just actually think the intermissions are fun and they will be picking the intermissions. And I mean, this is completely fine for the casual players, but I personally would like it to where we could just pick the normal tracks and leave the intermissions to KO and single player, or at least just lower the rate of intermissions. I really like the changes they made with the lag though, because you cannot get hit from Narnia anymore. And in this game, lag trails would be brutal because everyone always insta-trails their items because that's just how the game is. And speaking of items, the items are kind of brutal. To start, the insta-trails are pretty bad, not only for the person trailing but for everyone around them, and this can be unfair especially at the start of races, but I honestly will take anything over getting lag trailed. The boomerang item is also much worse, not only for the user but for everyone around the user. They are forced to spam it and get rid of it to get another item. I also think there are way too many attack items, especially for 24 players. You can't even see what items other players are holding. So if someone has a super horn, you can't know to get away from them, and it also removes a lot of strategy. But there are some good changes, like the feather. You can take some sick shortcuts, but most of the time you're just trying to find a way to get rid of it. Bombs aren't overpowered anymore because they don't bounce anymore, and the blast radius is much smaller and you basically have to face plant into it to activate it, which I think this is an awesome change. I like the coin items so you can easily get coins. I also like the way they handled the items in bottom spots. There is no useless items in the back, as you no longer get blue shells in the back and you instead get mega mushrooms and golden mushrooms, and the golden mushroom is actually buffed. And the ghost can also take shortcuts, which is awesome. I also like how there can basically only be one shotgun play, so you don't have to worry about others getting it. And it is also nerfed because you grow almost instantly in every spot, and you only shock people in front of you. just enough to help you out if you use it, but not completely flipping the race upside down. Overall, I think the items are fine despite the negativity in this section. I just wish some of the stuff could be changed, but I think it'll be fine once we get to competitive. So is the game worth it? I would say yes if you have the money, and especially if you are a Mario Kart fan. I already have like 50 hours on it, and it hasn't even been a week at the time of recording. It's really addicting and I just love it so much. As for the future, we don't really know what this game will look like, but I'm sure we will be fine in the future. And that's it for the video. If you found it useful or entertaining in any way, make sure to like and subscribe for more Mario Kart World content.